So the concept behind this podcast, success is a myth. I think success is not only one of the most overused words, but also one of the most misunderstood words. I just think that before we start chasing whatever definition of success has been handed to us by society, the rest of the industry that you're in, whatever, that you should first figure it out within yourself what you want success to be, so that you don't get 3 years or 5 years or 20 years down a path just to figure out like, oh, this isn't actually what I want. And so in this podcast, I'm going to be diving into my guests' success stories, what pivots they've had to make along the way, and times where they've had to realign their goals with their vision and just kind of figure out what the heck they're doing and where the heck they're going. So truly, it's just going to be full, candid conversations with dope people. This first episode is about my story and my transformation and my mindset progression as I've gone through my whole creative process and journey and entrepreneurial, whatever you want to call it. So my wife and I kind of recap everything that's happened from the first point of me making my first ever video to now where I've become a completely different person. I've changed so much along the way, but it's just a matter of overcoming those limiting beliefs and figuring out that the barriers that I've set in my own mind can be shattered and you can do whatever you want. I also asked my wife about what the difference was between having her husband come home after working a job that he knew he didn't want to work for forever and didn't fulfill him versus coming home, being fulfilled from work and wanting to keep working and doing creative pursuits. And it was actually really cool to have that conversation with my wife. I do that before I play ping pong.
Dude, I hate when you do that. It drives me crazy when you do that. When you go,
I gotta get it's like a starting new
de-stressor.
It is. Well, I just gotta clear all the bad vibes. I gotta clear the pipe. I gotta clear all the bad vibes out of my system before I'm gonna wreck this person at ping pong.
So maybe let's start with your first video you've ever made. Right?
Yeah.
You get that look like it was like cringe.
If I can find it, I'll have to play it on the screen. I don't remember the very first video I made, but I do remember that I got into making videos because our school, Westside, got iPads for all the kids in 6th grade. We had the iPads, and I remember just playing around with iMovie and with my friends, and particularly my cousin Lad, because we made a lot of videos with him.
Boy. Those I can remember just like watching them, and right now it's like making me cringe.
I don't know the very first video I made, but I do remember the very first video that I remember making was the Vans ad.
Oh my gosh.
The infamous Vans ad that my parents will never stop talking about, which is
Shaqs.
It was Shaqs. Oh man, they got a kick out of that. So backstory, just a little bit on this real quick. My dad got me a pair of Shaqs. If you don't know what Shaqs are, they're a shoe brand. And I hated those shoes.
Instead of just being a grateful son, just like, thanks,
yeah,
Mom
instead
and Dad,
of being
for
the
shoes.
good kid that my parents wanted.
And then never wearing them.
I hated those shoes. And not only did I hate those shoes, I made sure they knew that I hated those shoes. And so one of my very first videos was me making like a Vans ad because I loved Vans, but my parents thought they were stupid. They looked dumb. I loved Vans. And I'm wearing Vans right now. You're wearing Vans right now.
Yeah, I gotta represent.
Vans and Hey Dudes, those are my favorite two brands of shoes. I made this stupid little ad when I was like 13 to get why you should buy Vans instead of Shaqs. And
dude, you've got to play that one.
It's a whole bit. You've got to
play that.
Do you have Shaqs or any other crappy shoe brand? Is your shoe size just too big or too small? Do your feet cramp up when you get home from work? If you answered yes to any of these questions, contact your local Vans dealer. Vans are proven to give you the time of your life. Unlike Shaqs or Skechers, Vans don't scratch the back of your ankles, and they don't look like they were made out of paper mache, which is a big boost.
That's the very first video I remember making. I'm sure, because I remember making that video when I was like editing it. It wasn't my first time jumping into iMovie, so I don't remember the very first time I made a video on iMovie, but that's my most memorable first video. Like, of the first videos I made, that's my most memorable that there is. And then after that, Oh man, I got into middle school, Mr. Jensen's class, MJ's class.
Oh, I remember that.
Oh, one of my favorite. Actually, I think out of all 12 grades, Mr. Jensen's was my favorite. We did a video in his class. We were like set up into groups of 3 or 4, and we were supposed to do, what was the assignment? To make a
They were
video.
gerunds.
No, it wasn't gerunds. Was it?
It was.
What was the gerund?
You know, like circular rereasoning, red herring.
It was for gerunds. It was an English class, but what I can't remember like what the video assignment was. Wasn't it like you're supposed to show like a how-to or like a gerund in place or something?
No, you're talking about the how-to videos. So there were 2 different times that he had us make videos.
Oh, I only remember
So were
the
the
one.
how-to, and then there was the gerund one where I was paired with a couple different girls, and we were,
Okay.
bat girls on the lawnmower, like that. But how-to video, you go for it. Yeah, let's hear about it.
I remember in our video, I acted as like AC/DC on stage, and then all of a sudden, like I'm in heaven, and like God is questioning me about like what I've done. And we used Mr. Jensen's green screen. Oh man, those were the days. Some high quality
that was
stuff.
for gerunds.
Was that gerunds?
Yeah.
So the how-to video was a different thing.
We didn't do how-to
so
videos.
I'm trying to figure out what my gerund was. What is a gerund? Is a gerund? It's like the ing word, but it's like it's not a verb. It's like an adjective or a noun.
Fallacies. That's what it was called.
Fallacies. Yeah.
So,
Like the red herring and the circular reasoning, all that stuff, right? Or is that not a fallacy?
like a red herring fallacy or diversion fallacy occurs when someone introduces an irrelevant topic to distract from the original issue.
Oh, yeah.
So my team, we had the red herring fallacy. Okay.
Okay. Oh, that's right. We each chose a fallacy.
Exactly.
Shoot. Dude, I've got to call up Moffat or Gideon or Connor because those are the 3 that were in my group and figure out which fallacy we did. And then I really need to remember that video because I remember making it and I remember how much fun it was, but I don't remember actually what the video was on. So, but nonetheless, that was the next time I got to exercise my, I wouldn't even call it skills, just like obsession with making videos. And then maybe the YouTube channel even started before that because
I'm pretty sure it did.
Oh, what a time.
YouTube channel.
Making those YouTube videos. I'm going to ask you a question about that in just a second. But
Okay.
For background, in like 7th or 8th grade, I started a YouTube channel. I'm not going to say the name. If you want to find it, you can try to find someone.
Good luck.
Who knows? Yeah, it was a very dumb YouTube channel. I like did these little skits. One of my videos was like how to oh shoot.
get rid of a door-to-door salesman.
How to get rid of a door-to-door salesman.
And then there was Officer Donut.
Officer Donut series, the classic. Another series was what your parents do when you're at school.
Oh my gosh.
7 ways to get rid of it. That's what it was. 7 ways to get rid of a door-to-door salesman, stuff like that. There's a lot of classic videos. I say classic now. They were trash, but they were kind of funny. I watch them now and I can't stop cringing. But anyways, I started a YouTube channel because I just enjoyed making videos, and I wanted people to think I was funny too. I was a wannabe class clown. I was never a class clown, but I was a wannabe class clown. And then for the longest time, it was just fun videos and dumb videos, stuff like that. And then towards like sophomore year, before I get there, we were friends in middle school. We knew of each other. We knew of each other in elementary. We were friends in middle school. Kind of became best friends towards the end of 8th grade year and freshman year.
You watching me date other guys.
Yeah. So my question to you,
other guys.
I waited for you. I definitely waited for you. My question to you is, what did you think of my YouTube channel when we started dating in sophomore year? What did you think of my YouTube channel? Were you like, and just me making videos at large, like, were you like, oh my gosh, this is terrible, but like, I'm gonna be nice to this kid because I feel bad for him, the poor kid, or were you like, oh, they're kind of cool, but like, they're not that great?
It was more of like, I looked at it as you and Lad just having the time of your lives together.
We did.
I mean, there were times that, you know, Michaela and I, like my cousin that I used to hang out with, like we did similar things, but we didn't ever video record it. I mean, we've got pictures to prove it.
Yeah.
But
Well, that's what it was. It was making memories, but like I had a camera, or iPad. I had an iPad and I was on the camera app filming whatever memories.
So I guess I just looked at it as like a childish, like transgression. I don't know that
Phase. I was going through phase. Yeah, I was.
But it was like looking back on memories. It's like looking through photos or, you know, stuff like that. And I thought they were funny. It was kind of cringy.
You don't feel bad saying that. It was definitely cringy. Yeah.
But it wasn't.
My future husband right there.
I kind of thought it was stupid that that's all that everybody saw you as. Like, oh, Officer Donut.
Yeah,
Like,
I thought I was a celebrity walking down the hallway. And they were like, grow, baby, donuts, grow. When they see me, I'm like,
okay, now you have to show that video.
I'm like, yes, thank you. You watched my YouTube channel. All of 80 subscribers. I think maybe 20 of those were the people in our class.
The rest was from at least West Side.
There's no way one of those subscribers was not from West Side.
Right.
Like nobody outside of my circle found my videos and thought they were funny. Like it was people who were like, oh my gosh, she put another stupid video on. I got to watch this. You know?
So remind me, when did you start making videos of your family trips?
Oh, yeah. So eventually
Because I can't remember when that like actually started.
one of the biggest things that inspired me to start taking video more seriously, and not even when I say more seriously, I don't mean as a career. I mean as like, I want to make cool videos, like not just like funny videos, but like cool videos. But one of the videos that inspired me to do that was my cousin Kai. His friend group made this really cool video of them going on a senior trip after their graduation to the Oregon coast. To this day, it is such a cool video to go back and look at. And that inspired me to start making videos of my family's vacations.
Because to you, in your mind, those were the equivalent of epicness. You know,
They were. And
it
they
was
still
like
are.
the equivalent.
It totally was. And that like totally like inspired me to be like, I don't know. I was like, I have a GoPro and I have an iPad and I can buy a camera and I can get a drone, or maybe I had a drone at that point. I can't remember exactly when in that my progression of buying my first, or you bought my first drone, but I can't remember when I saw that video. But your question, sorry, was when I started making family trip
I
videos.
remember when your first one.
I think my first one was Hawaii or Island
It was
Park.
an island park.
It was Island Park. It was the first Island Park video because I made a couple of those.
Because you had one where you held the GoPro and your brother jumped over you with a snowmobile.
That was the second Island
I
Park
was
video.
so mad at you. I'm like, y'all are gonna die. Like,
Yeah, we called it the township record for reasons that are to be discussed outside. But we had my brother jump over me with the snowmobile, and I was like laying down with the drone and the GoPro and getting all shots of it. But yeah, when I started making videos of my family going on vacations, that was probably in high school at some point, junior or senior year. Yeah, I just took a GoPro and you bought me my first drone. And
it was like a crappy little drone.
But it sounds cliche, but it was the thought that counts. You were my girlfriend. You were somebody who cared about my dreams and my passions and my hobbies. And I had not had a drone up to that point, and you bought me my drone. My first drone. And I don't even remember the brand that it was.
It was so crappy.
And who cares?
Well, like compared to like any like ones that you've got now.
It got me started into it, even if I only
sure.
flew it a couple times because it was very nice of you to do that.
I introduced you to the drone world.
We'll talk about what you've done for me, which is a lot of things, in just a second. But I made a lot of videos with my siblings too. And a lot of them we never released. Trapper John is another one that we made. Anyways, none of these will make any sense to anybody else.
Bridger was Trapper John,
Was Trapper John. Yeah, with his squeaky little voice. Yeah. Oh, the good times. I had a squeaky voice too. Man, we were just
Squeaky
we
little
were
kids.
just kids. Anyways, I've always been a very creative person. I was the odd kid out in class because my favorite class was English. Not so much reading, because I hated reading all of Shakespeare
Weird
crap,
child.
but I loved creating stories.
You've always been amazing at that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I always loved like writing narrative stories and creating stuff.
Well, you've always been like had that creative mindset about you. I mean, even in like Minecraft and stuff like that,
Oh, yeah. No, I take that stuff seriously.
Had that creative streak, right?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're good.
No, it really does pan into everything or carry over to everything that I do. Video games, videos, building like a pirate ship out of Legos. The Narnia Dawn Treader ship with Legos. I built that when I was a teenager, like just because I wanted to. But no, I've always been a creatively minded person, and so video for me was like just an outlet for that. It was somewhere that's like,
And that's one reason why it was so addicting.
making videos, I always found could like tell a story better than writing could. Even though I always enjoyed writing, it was like a means to an end. I needed to create something. And writing was like the best thing that I could do at the time. I always loved like writing stories or like writing books. I wanted to write a book. And who knows if I'll do that or not. I'm not passionate about writing. I'm passionate about creating. And video is the avenue. It's the medium that I create with.
So do you want to dive into maybe like what was your first paid video?
So the first time that I ever got paid to make a video was probably my senior year of high school. It was like 2019 or maybe early 2020. My aunt, who just runs a local jerky business, was wanting just like a regular Facebook ad.
That's right. You made like a small advertisement for
Papa
a
J's.
family member.
Yes, it was great. And she paid me like $200 to do it. And I made the video, and I was not expecting a penny from it. Made the video, and at the end of it, she's like, I love it. Here's $200 or $250, whatever it was. And that, because at this point I had never even fathomed that you could make video or make money with video, with something that was like a passion. I was so used to the traditional careers of become a teacher, a doctor, a mechanic, a farmer, whatever. None of those are bad. Those make the world go round. Totally get it. But I had just never imagined I could make money from something that was not traditional to my area, to a local small town. Anyways, when I got that money, that was $200, it was so eye-opening to me. I was like, are you kidding me? Like, you can actually, it was $200, but I was like, you can actually make money from this? Like, people will pay me to do something that I love? So I don't know if that was the exact moment that I realized this, but that was the start of a progression of me realizing I don't ever want to make money doing something that I don't love if I can make money doing something that I do love.
And they say that if you find something that you love, you never work a day in your life.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
You made your first video, right, for Papa J's. That was your first paid video.
First paid video.
After that, was that our wedding video? Like our, not wedding video, but our engagement video that you made?
That I made of us, and like the wedding slideshow. Because, yeah, I don't know, again, I don't know the exact timeline on when that first paid video was, but it was right around that time. Like, we got married a year after high school, and I made the video of us of our engagement, of like all of our dating timeline.
But before that, there was all these little videos. Like one when we went, like any of our trips that we would take to hot springs, to
Right.
like different videos that we would take. We'd go up a mountain and you'd take a video and like you'd make it into
A drone video.
Yeah.
We droned a lot.
We did.
Those
We
are
droned
a
a lot, and we GoPro'd a lot too.
We did.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was back
so
before you had a camera.
That was. All I had was a drone, a GoPro, and an iPad to make videos with. Yes, I did make a lot of those videos of us. A lot of those videos just in general, like of my dogs, my siblings, of like a tractor in the field, like just random stuff, just making videos of every single thing around me.
Senior year, we had to do like we had to video ourselves for choir and for band. Do you remember the band teacher, the video you made?
Mm-hmm.
I still cannot get it out of my
I'll
head.
just brief synopsis here. So, yes, I played the bass clarinet in high school, played band. Loved that. I was a band nerd. And for our senior, it wasn't like a project because we had senior year during COVID. And so we kind of got our senior projects nixed. But it was like the band final. Like
it was pretty much the band final.
You had to record yourself just with a phone. Or whatever, just playing your favorite song or playing a song all the way through with your instrument. And yeah, that was, most people just, set their phone up and on the table and video themselves as they played whatever. And I, just for fun, I just took it to the next level. I used my parents' Nikon camera, had my brothers film me, all over the place outside, and I made like a music video.
On top of his car while someone was driving.
Yeah, I was standing on top of a car, I was in the swing set, I was jumping on the trampoline, I was on top of the roof.
All
while playing the bass clarinet.
Playing.
Yeah, I say playing. I had no clue what I was doing with music. Just love making videos. But yeah, that was just an example of me making a video purely out of passion. Totally, I didn't do that because I was like, he better give me 100%. I was just like, this is an opportunity to use, we're going to get to that in a second. This is an opportunity for me to just use my passion and my talents and just make something really fun. When somebody's requiring a video of me, why not go to the next level and make it the absolute best that it could be with my skills at the time?
I submitted a empty file. I think I videoed the floor for like 2 seconds and I submitted.
Just so there was a file in there?
No. I videoed a 3-minute thing of the floor and just submitted it.
Wild.
And I got 100%.
The funny thing is like
I
went in.
Watched it.
The exact same thing happened with me. I did this whole like music video put on top of like me actually playing the bass clarinet in a room. I put it all on, like played the whole music video. And I sent it to him, and then the next day I went in. It was just the very last day of school. And I was like, I asked our band teacher, I was like, did you see that video? And he's like, no, I haven't. And I was like, well, you gave me 100%. He's like, then he watched it, and he's like, dude, this is totally worth 100%. Anyways, just a funny moment. But I made a lot of just random videos, just purely for me to have fun and grow and learn new things. And I think we talked about you getting me my first drone. Had a GoPro drone. Used my parents' Nikon camera. Made like family vacation videos. Videos of that and videos of us and our engagement video and our wedding slideshow. That was a lot of fun. And to this day, I still put at the end of every year, I make a recap video of our year. Just of like, it's like, 12, 15 minutes, 20 minutes every year.
I love watching that.
It's the best to watch.
Because it reminds you, like, all the cool things that we did. I sit there and in December, I get down and it's like, gosh, we're so boring. Like, we never do anything,
Sit inside all the time, yeah.
And, being trapped inside, because I don't like the cold, it makes you feel like depressed a little bit. And watching a video like that just reminds you over the year, like, dude, we went on this trip, we did this together, we went to this. And it's just like, dude, we had a killer year.
We did. And every year I feel like that. And every year we go back and watch the previous years too. We like watch all of our years together so far. And it's always like, it's just like, it reminds you, like, first off, that we have more than we realize, that we do more than we realize, and we have more fun than we realize. But then it also like brings back like certain times, the fun, the not so fun, the times where you're like, dude, like that was just incredible to see it all together in one beautiful video. I always end up crying during that. It's so cool. Yeah, and then we got married, and at this point I was working at Wendy's as a manager, and literally a week after we got married, they promoted me to general manager. And I'm actually really grateful for that, but I was 19 at the time. And man, I've never grown up so fast than in those first 6 months after we were both married and I was general manager. A lot of lessons learned, but man, for the better. Like, I'm so grateful for that time. I'm so grateful for all of that. But, I'm saying all this because to this point, I still did not take video as something that could be a career. I was torn between being a psychologist, but I didn't want to go back to school and take a bunch of school on psychology and all that stuff. Psychology is fascinating to me. Or just working at Wendy's for the rest of my life, or like an equivalent, something like that. I wanted to climb the corporate ladder at Wendy's and scale up. And to that point, I had gone from 16 being a crew member and flipping fries and burgers to 19. I was managing the whole location, like the whole store. Just crazy times. Crazy
just
times.
To like kind of add on to the whole, you managing a Wendy's. I felt like it was hard on our marriage, but I felt like we grew so much because you would call me and be like, hey, I've got a long night ahead of me. Like, I'm going to be here cleaning the store pretty much by myself. I just wanted to let you know. And I would grab the keys and I would come to the store and I would help you clean up. I would help do what I could. And even just sit in the dining room with you while you could just you could talk to me and just, help you crank that out. Like, I felt like even just doing that,
Just be present with me there.
It made us grow so much.
We went from having dates every single week, twice a week, sometimes when we were just dating and engaged, to being married. And now I have responsibility of 6 other managers and 20 to 25 to 30 at any given time, other crew members, and a whole store that was supposed to make thousands of dollars a week running. I was supposed to keep all of that running. Yeah, we went from having dates every single week to our dates became, because I couldn't make it to a lot of family reunions and birthday parties and just date nights with you, our dates became you sitting in the dining room or sitting in the manager's office while I was closing, while I was taking care of the store. Or on Sundays, because we were closed Sundays for a period of time, you would come in with me and help me check inventory and whatever else.
Count things.
And those were our dates as a very freshly married couple. Those were our dates, and we had to live with that. And I'm grateful for that. It taught us a lot. And
I'm grateful for that.
I'm very grateful for that. It was something that I don't know I want to go back to.
No.
In a sense.
Heavens, no.
No, yeah. And kudos to the people that can do crazy hours and long hours. But yeah, because there's a lot of jobs that require that. But no, it was crazy. I want to ask you, because when was the first time, or I don't know, one of the first times that I started talking about, because I, at this point, I still thinking I was going to work at Wendy's for forever, or I guess I didn't really think about the future that much. I was just kind of in it day after day, And so I eventually, gradually was like, hey, this video thing, people are asking me to do it more and more, and I'm doing a lot of free videos, and a very, very, very occasionally a paid video for a couple $100. But my question to you is, when was the first time you realized, when was the first time you remember me telling you that I wanted to do video full time, or for money, to make any sort of money with video, seriously, to take it more seriously than just a hobby? When was the first time I talked to you about that kind of stuff?
I don't feel like it was very cut dry like you're making it.
You think it was more gradual?
I feel like it was a lot more gradual because it was a very slow moving process, right? I mean, you did a wedding here. You'd help out your cousin there. You'd do an ad for solar systems for your other cousin. You'd all of these different things, and you gradually just kind of were seeing I am putting in X amount of hours at Wendy's, and I'm getting paid salary, and right now I'm making worse than $8 an hour.
With how many hours you'd put in per week, which was at times 80 to 100, you realize with a salary job that equals about whatever it was. We would tally those up. We started to, after working too many of those weeks in a row. I'm like, holy cow! If you're tallying up how much per hour I made, It's not a lot.
You started to realize, like, this is not worth it. And this isn't worth it to my family.
And I didn't want to raise a family
Yeah.
in that environment.
Yeah, but I feel like when you finally took it seriously, and it was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back, was when we went to a concert and one of your managers called in and she was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to come in. And you were just like, you're going to have to deal with it. That's the nicest way I'm going to put it. You're going to have to deal with it because I'm not there. And I'm not coming back right now.
It was the only other manager that I ever depended on, that I ever could depend on. Mm-hmm. And she was supposed to take care of the store while I went down to Salt Lake with you to go to a concert that we loved going to.
But we had not had time to ourselves.
Very long time.
Like, since we had been married. Mm-hmm. And this was, like, one of the first times we were able to, like, go and be a couple, you know, and go and do
have
a date night.
An
evening together. And not have to worry about work.
And she said, I'm not coming in today. And I'm like, well, you're going to have to figure it out because I'm not coming back to this weekend.
Yeah.
I'm not coming back this weekend. Like, I need this time off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that was the first time I ever told somebody I was not going to come in and cover for them. And I meant it that time too. Yeah. Of course, it was the first time I ever said it, but I was like, I can't do this anymore. Like, I've got to be able to depend on somebody. And so I think you're right. That was kind of the straw that... Go ahead.
And to go along with that, like, I remember driving after that conversation that you had with her, and you were just like, this is not my passion anymore, and I just can't do it any longer. My heart's not in it. And I was like, you need to talk to those managers because you're like your higher-ups.
My higher-ups.
Yeah, and you need to tell them this because this is just, it's not working for you. If you don't love it, then... don't do it.
And for a long time, I did love it.
Yeah.
And there are aspects of it that I sort of miss. Absolutely nothing enough to pull me away from the video world and take me back there. But there are aspects of it I miss. There are aspects of it I really did love, but that always involved having a staffed store and people who loved working. And with teenagers and, frankly, adults who don't have a better job, it's really hard to find those kind of people.
For sure.
That are passionate, number one, passionate and want to come to work. And number two, long lasting and dependable over a long period of time. Turnover's crazy. In restaurants, it's crazy.
I remember when you came home and you're like, hey, I found this YouTuber. Okay. And I watched this 30-minute thing on what is called Full-Time Filmmaker.
It's online course for filmmaking.
An online course for filmmaking. And you're like, it's $500. What do you think I should do? And I said, well, do you think this is something that you could, look at yourself doing? Is this something that you could be passionate about?
I remember these conversations. Holy cow.
And this is just crazy to me. I just remember telling you to do it. After like all of the conversations we had, I just remember being like, do it, get it. I mean, what's it going to hurt? It's $500, and at the time $500 was a lot, but I mean, I was like, do it, invest in yourself.
The funny thing is I had watched some of his videos clear back in like 2016.
On YouTube, right?
YouTube videos clear back in like 2016 or 2017. And I hadn't thought about him since. And then when I was like looking at Wendy's and I'm like, yeah, this isn't what I'm realizing this isn't what I want to be doing for forever. And I want to find a way out. But I was never one to, number one, just quit. And number two, just quit and like not give people the proper work ethic and the notice that they deserve. And also I didn't know how to make money with it. So it's not like I could just quit and then just start this new thing,
sure.
But all of a sudden I feel like it was one of those weird things that like, it's gotta have been just a little bit of divine intervention. Cause I had not thought about this guy, Parker Walbecker, full-time filmmaker, in like 3 or 4 years. And I remember just sitting there like September 2021-ish. And I was like, I think there's a video course. And I just remembered his name. His name just came to mind. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I looked it up. sure enough, there it was. And I talked to you about it. And I mean, it was $500. And at the time, that seemed like a very big sum of money. Yeah, and we got the course, and I realized that I had the passion for video. Absolutely had the passion for video. I was always a creative kid, but I didn't have any mentors in the area. Well, mentors at all, but frankly, in the area, because we're from such a small town, and I'm sure there are people in here that do that, and I've met some of them, but at the time I was like, I knew nobody. I knew absolutely nobody in the video industry. I just knew that I wanted to do it, and I knew that I had a drone and a GoPro and an old Nikon DSLR from my parents because they never used it, so they just let me have it. And so I got full-time filmmaker, and I remember being so obsessed with that course. Just so obsessed with like, holy cow, here's a guy that not only does this full time, but he teaches you how to do it full time. And he's got thousands of students that have taken the course and they do it full time or they whatever. And I just fell in love with it. And throughout Wendy's, I just did every single type of video under the sun. I did a lot of weddings, tried real estate. I did a couple funeral videos. Which is kind of a strange thing, but they're special, kind of cool little weird videos. I did a demolition derby video. I did some Facebook ads for several different cousins. I did some different like musical stuff, some like music videos and some like dancing type stuff and recitals, and it did a lot of sports. Man, that started out a little bit later, but I got huge into sports, and that was for a long time my favorite thing to film. Yeah, I just did everything under the sun, making little to no money off of it. Not exactly expecting to make a lot of money either, right off the bat anyways. I just realized like I had to get the experience in. Yeah, and I slowly realized like, first off, you can do whatever you set your mind to. And I just feel like I've grown at that point. I had grown so much as a person from just, I feel like I don't want to call it a trap because it's not a bad trap, but I watched this video on it the other day, and it's very interesting the way that our society, the school, the work culture, everything is literally designed to breed us and make us so that we can go through the
Fall
school
into line.
and fall into line and work at a corporate job for the rest of our lives and just build society. I think it was like Rockefeller back in like the industrial age that like kind of designed all that and paid for all that to take place. And that's
why it's reading, writing,
all the
arithmetic.
basic subjects instead of like trying to make everybody shine at what they're passionate about and what they're good at. You just kind of force a bunch of cattle through a gate is what school feels like. And it is. That's what the modern standardized school system is. I realized that you don't have to do that if you don't want to. College only preps you for like 7 to 10% of the jobs that are in the world. But what about the other 90%? You know, I didn't go to college. I didn't want to go to college. But I realized you can do whatever the heck you want. I saw this thing that nobody around me that I had ever known to that point when I was 20, 21 years old had ever done before. And here I am watching and taking a course and watching a bunch of YouTube videos of people that are doing it. And at this point I was like, holy freaking crap, I could do whatever the heck I want to. Here are these people making 6 figures, $1 million, 8 figures, doing video. How the heck does that happen?
Can I ask you a question? Do you think that you'd ever want to go back to school?
To like a brick and mortar school, like college?
Yeah, like for cinematography or anything like that? You think that you're done? You don't want to?
I don't want to go back to a brick and mortar school. If anything, I'd rather find a mentor, find somebody,
be like an apprentice.
Find somebody who's doing it at the level that I want to be doing it and learn from them. Even if it's just a 30-minute call or if it's something like a paid internship, I would so much rather take practical technical courses and internships and mentorships than actually go and do standardized school again. Yeah.
Because I feel like that's where you've learned a lot, and that's how you learn.
It's
Like
by finding
you
people.
specifically is you like to learn through people, but also learn for yourself as well.
Absolutely. There's a fine line between over consuming, which is just taking in all of the YouTube videos and all of the courses and all of the podcasts and all of the self-help books. There's a fine line between that and action, or under action, I should say. I don't even know exactly the way I'm trying to word that, but there's what you need to do is consume enough to educate yourself, but then theory without practice is just empty space. Like it's nothing. So you've got to go out and practice and do the thing, both with people and then also on your own, so you can hone your craft on your own. There's the quote I like to compare it to is, you can't swim by reading about it.
Amen.
Like if you could read a book and then swim a mile, everybody would be the perfect swimmer.
It's like scrolling through your phone for workouts and being like, oh, everybody's so fit and I just want to be that fit. And then you're like, okay, I'm going to be that fit now. And then you turn off your phone and you go look in the mirror and you're still that out of shape person. After you consumed all that you could with FTF, what was the next step for you?
Man, so
because you were obsessed with FTF for the longest time.
I was.
What was next?
Because
what came
not
after
only
that?
was it a school, well, I say school, not only was it an online course, a program, but it was also a community, and it was also, but beyond those things, it was a beacon of hope to me in my mind. I know that sounds like
beacon of hope.
It sounds preachy, right? But it was something that told me you can be whatever you want to be. And you can do whatever you want to do. And you don't have to do anything traditional. I've always been one that's a little rebellious, to say the least. I did all the things in middle school and high school that my parents hated, wore all the shoes and the clothes that they hated, and did all the things they hated. And anyways, but...
The hair,
that's right. Oh my golly. But so yes, that's what FTF was to me. It was something, even though they didn't realize it, it was a couple dudes telling me like, keep going, you can do this, you can achieve, you can do anything you want to do. But I feel like I forgot the question. What was the question? Something about FTF? Like what was the next step or something?
So you consumed all that you could with FTF.
Right.
What was the next step for you?
So the next step, like we've been talking, was just doing my reps, just putting my 1,000 hours in, my 10,000 hours in. It was doing all of the reps, all of the videos, and loving every second of it because it was the process that I had fallen in love with, and saying yes to every single person that came my way needing a video, and saying yes to every single opportunity, and feeling like if I didn't say yes, then I was leaving
a stone unturned.
I was leaving a stone unturned. I was missing an opportunity that would grow myself and that would further my progress and my education and my progression and all of that stuff. And so literally the next step was just doing that while still working at Wendy's and while still having the nice paycheck to fall back on. So it was nice to do all of that stuff on my off time, and have the paycheck that would support not only me, but a family, me and you, and just to have that while I was exploring this new avenue. Because like you said, I didn't have a moment. I had 1,000 moments where I realized I wanted to do this forever. It wasn't like I'm doing this. This is going to be me. I had 1,000 moments that were like slowly building me up to that, but I was like still questioning whether this could be an actual thing. And so through all of those trial and errors and getting slowly building up, getting gear and new cameras, and that stuff is so fun to obsess over, but it doesn't get you anywhere unless you practice. But through doing all of the different videos and literally just practicing for a lot of different people in a lot of different scenarios.
Well, and it's like baptism by fire. It really is. Like your first wedding, it was like trial by fire. I mean, nothing was on the line because you did it for free and it was for family. So there was nothing hanging over your head or anything like that. But a lot of
But I made
what
myself
you
feel
do,
like I had to.
it's like baptism by fire. Like you just have to try it out and see what works for you, because your technique is going to be so different than other people's technique, because what you like is what you like. And that's what you're going to put forth. And that's how you're going to run your business. That's what makes you so likable. That's what makes you you.
Doing more of what I like and less of what I don't.
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
I just feel like in life in general, like I'm going to relate this back to jujitsu. So I take jujitsu.
You're a badass.
Oh my gosh. In jiu-jitsu, everybody's technique is so different because everybody's body types are so different. And what works for me isn't gonna work for you. It's just so different. And I feel like in creativeness and in other people's creativeness, like in your entrepreneurship, everybody's creativeness is so different. So different. And so the way you make videos is not going to be the same as the way somebody else makes videos. And that's what makes you stand out. And that's what makes you such an amazing.
I like that you say that, because in MMA and jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, every great fighter and every great, even if they're not fighters, just people who do it for fun and take self-defense classes and try to better themselves, the more they do it and hone their skill, the more they've got that signature move that makes them just tick. And when people go up against them, they're like, I've got to get out of that the heel, whatever it is. I know you've talked to me about this stuff, or like this person has a killer armbar or whatever it is. You know way more about this than I do within the MMA world, but it's similar to that. I've never thought about it quite that way, because if I wouldn't have done all of the reps and done all of the stuff and done all the videos and been just so passionate about the whole process and so unwaveringly obsessed with the process, I wouldn't have figured out what I'm best at and what makes me tick and what I love.
Exactly. And what you love, it's going to be refined through your video.
Thank you. Yeah, I used to believe in what's called, so there, you either specialize or diversify within videos. You can either specialize and get really, really good at one thing. For me, I'm actually pivoting to more podcast production. I've really can talk about that in just a second if we have time. Or you can do everything under the sun. You can do weddings, real estate, sports, corporate, commercials, whatever, and just offer all of that to everybody and try to be everything for everyone.
But you're going to burn yourself out doing that.
Yes, and there are varying opinions on the topic. It's a very hot topic in the creative industry. I believe you should specialize, because the more that you specialize, or the more you do videos, the more you'll realize what you actually want to specialize in. You'll be like, okay, I really don't enjoy doing real estate videos because I really don't. But I really like doing podcasts or longer form content, which is what I like longer form, character driven narrative, or not narrative, that's the wrong word, but longer form content with people in it. Telling stories. I've always been, storytelling is such a buzzword anymore, but I don't know. I don't know the best way to word that without saying just storytelling. I love pulling the deepest, best stuff out of a certain video and creating emotion with it. I feel like with real estate, there's no emotion.
You're just showing off a pretty house or whatever. Sometimes not so pretty. So can I ask, why podcast?
Ooh.
What made you be like...
What made me start my own podcast, or what made me want to offer podcast production services to other people?
Yeah, both.
Both? So I'll start with what made me want to offer podcast production services to other people. So for about a year, I've been doing 2 podcasts, or a little under a year for one of them. But I've been doing one through Farm Bureau, which is the company that I work at now. And then I've been doing another one for a client. And at first I was just like, I just kind of got thrown into both of them. Like the client called me up and is like, hey, I don't know if you've ever done something like this, but I'd love to start a podcast and I'd love to have you do it. And I was like, sure, let's do it. This is still at the point where I was saying yes to everybody and doing everything. And I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and doing everything. And we've been doing that podcast for about a year now, a little under a year. And what I love about podcasting is creating podcasts, first off, for people, is you don't have to, there's not a ton of B-roll involved. For some reason, that used to be my bread and butter for a long time.
For a long time.
As I always loved doing the B-roll stuff. But I realized that unless it's like crazy high productions for like commercial stuff, I'm not crazy in love with the B-roll. But even with crazy high like commercial and corporate stuff, you're spending a lot of time for a 30-second commercial. A lot of time. So I'd rather spend 30 minutes setting up, an hour to 2 hours recording, and then 30 to 60 minutes in post and put it up. And that's the podcast. I get the perfect balance of production because I can make it look and sound so good. And I'm actually really grateful that I've had all of filmmaking experience that I've had, because I know composure and lighting and audio and all of the stuff that makes something look and sound pleasing. So I get the perfect amount of production still, because I'm a gearhead at heart, but I also get the perfect amount of story and character development and personality and people. And with podcasts, you get that. What I loved about doing my own social media stuff or my own YouTube channel was I got a piece of that. I was able to share a piece of me with the world and talk about camera stuff. But I realized, like, I don't want to talk about camera stuff. Not on those platforms anyways. I'm always love talking about it with other people, but not on those platforms.
Well, and I feel like with the people that you do podcasts for, you're telling their story. And you're able to interview, well, not like you interview them because you're not, but you're doing the podcast production, but you're able to produce that story for that podcast host. You know what I mean? And you're telling somebody else's story.
Yeah. And I'm still with a podcast, I'm still helping bolster somebody's business and promote somebody's business. The nice thing about podcasting, as opposed to social media and YouTube, is that you get the raw format of somebody. It's not scripted, or even if a YouTube channel isn't scripted, it's really cut down, and you get the stripped down version, like the highlights. People on social media, people in today's day and age, are so sick of seeing the highlights. They want to see all of it. They want to see. Authenticity is another one of those buzzwords, because it's like, be authentic. Well, what does that mean? But just being able to show full transparency, who you are, or who your business is, or what you do, or the full behind the scenes process, not the social media version, not the highlight version, but the whole thing. That's what podcasting gives you. It gives you deeper trust with your listeners. It gives you deeper trust with potential clients if you're doing it for a business or for a company. And so that's what I love to offer to people now is the podcast production and promotion that you can get with that. Also, podcasts give you very easy social media posts. Like you can clip a podcast so easy. I'm probably going to clip this and put it in a reel. But yeah, so to answer the first part of your question, I feel like I could talk a lot more about that kind of stuff, but that's what I love. And I wouldn't have been able to figure that out had I not done all the other videos and all the other stuff that I realize I don't love as much, but I still love because it was still creating something. But I wouldn't have realized that I loved creating and making all aspects of podcasts without doing all the other stuff. So that's why I love, that's why I've pivoted towards just creating or mainly offering podcast services to people. But why I've started my own podcast, this one, is I've always been an avid podcast consumer. I watch podcasts and listen to podcasts about sports, listen to podcasts about self-help, motivation, listen to podcasts about like filmmaking and entrepreneurship and business development, literally
You're even investing.
Like Dave Ramsey's stuff. Like there is, or even like comedians. I like listening to comedians' podcasts because it gives you the full version of themselves. Whereas on stage in front of a crowd, they feel like they've got to put on this show. Whereas on a podcast, they feel like they can be themselves. And then it's oftentimes a lot funnier, actually. So I listen to a ton of podcasts. I'm just an avid podcast listener. So I've always wanted to start a podcast first off. And
Let me pause you there.
okay.
Okay. I've always told you needed to start a podcast.
Yes, you have. And I
So
appreciate you for that.
You're starting it because of this person, right?
Yes, you're definitely pushing me to start a podcast, and I am. I can think of literally 4 people right now that I've talked to, or maybe just 3. No, 4 people that I've talked to about starting a podcast with. I've literally talked to 4 friends that I'm like, we should start a podcast together. It would be so much fun. And I still would love to do the podcast episodes with them and whatever else, but I'm starting this podcast right now because I am passionate about, so the idea behind this podcast, success is a myth, right? I think success is the biggest buzzword in the entire world ever.
I agree.
Everybody sells you on success. They try to sell you on their version of success, which is often glorified. Right. It's subjective. It's subjective to everybody, but it's often falsified. It's often glorified. It's often just completely and flat out just like wrong, and just like the highlights of somebody's life, and like they may be quote unquote successful, but are they fulfilled? And so the idea of success is a myth to me is that anything that anybody has ever told you about success in your entire life may or may not be true, but it's subjective to them, and you shouldn't take it for gold. You shouldn't take it for that is the way. Like that is the way. I'm all about fulfillment over success, because I feel like the word success to me just screams achievement. Like it's an achievement to achieve. It's a milestone to achieve. And I think it's healthy to have milestones, but I also think it's healthy to fall in love with the process. And I'm going to talk about that a lot on this show, on this podcast, but the process should be the reward. I think it's so easy to get involved with outcomes and get obsessed with deliverables and numbers and things that you're like, just outcomes, things that you're like, this should happen. Why has it not happened? Why have I not hit $1 million? Why have I not hit 1 million subscribers? Whatever. You can set any sort of matrix for yourself that you think you should hit, or that you want to hit. And if you don't hit it, just make yourself depressed. But what I'm all about, and I'm still trying to learn every day. Obviously, I'm not perfect. I'm so far from perfect. But what I'm all about, and what I'm going to dive into other people's stories and their just progression, is that success is a myth. Success is a myth. It is not. I feel like success is just a word we shouldn't use anymore, at least not in the standard way that everybody uses it yet, as like, oh, so-and-so is so successful. Well, they may have earned $1 million, but what if their family life sucks? You know what I mean? Like there's just so many different levels to success that I feel like the word is thrown around so loosely. And I feel like the better word that means more and is a little bit more narrow and not so broad is fulfillment. You may hit $1 million one day. You may hit 1 million subscribers one day. You may hit that big fancy house and that big fancy car and the crazy huge family, or whatever, any number of measurements that people can measure success by. You may hit that one day, but what about the rest of your life when you haven't hit it? Are you going to be empty, or are you going to be fulfilled? So That's why I'm starting this podcast, is I want to dive into that.
So, I know that you don't like this word, but what is success to you?
I know I kind of talked about it a little bit there, but I don't think necessarily we should stop using success. I just think we should be more careful about using the word success. To answer your question, what is success to me? Success to me is being able to wake up wanting to do what I'm about to do in the day, and to have the weekends and the nights and the Sundays and the time off, feeling like I can give time to myself and time to my wife and family and friends and whatever. Success to me is feeling like I've put in my due diligence and like I put in the reps and that will pay off.
So, would you call yourself successful?
Ooh.
Because to me, I look at you and I would call you successful.
Well, thank you. Well, in ways, yes, but not.
See, this is where I have a problem with the word successful.
Okay, exactly.
I have a problem with the word successful because people demonize it in a way, looking at it like it's like a future thing, like to be successful.
Exactly.
Whereas I like to look at it from being day to day. Like today was successful. Like
Love that.
I got the dishes done. I did the laundry. I hit my workouts. I went to jujitsu. I got all my work done at work. To me, that is having a successful day. And you have to take it day by day, instead of putting it on like a pedestal and making it feel like
It's all or nothing.
it's all or nothing.
Yeah, that's
And that's
See-
why I think it's demonized.
that. When you asked that very question, I didn't even realize it, but the way that society is like shaped us is to believe that it is all or nothing. Mm-hmm. You either have it or you don't. Mm-hmm. And you either have everything or you have nothing.
And everyone's success is different.
Exactly. I think fulfillment is a better way to measure
Fulfillment. I've felt fulfilled today.
it. Yeah, exactly. To answer your question, do I feel successful? I was just so taken aback by that question. It's funny when I look at it, because whenever I'm looking at like where I used to be in any aspect of life, I'm like, wow, I'm glad that I'm leveling up because I am exactly where I wanted to be then, now. But even now, I'm like, I've got so many places that
You want to go.
I want to go and things that I want to do and things that I want to achieve. Like I said, I have milestones I'd love to achieve and along the way, but success to me, and I do feel successful certain days, and there's other days where I'm like, that was
Could have done better.
That was an off day. But I do feel successful on the days where I'm like, I got all the things on the to-do list done, and I moved the needle in a way in whatever that might be. Whether
The direction
I
that you
learned,
wanna go.
Yeah. Whether I learned I developed a new creative technique, or I locked in a new client, or I connected with somebody higher than me who is on crazy high path, or that's how I feel. They're just another person at the same time doing the best that they can every day, just like us, So it's important to not like
Put your heroes on a pedestal.
put everybody on a pedestal too. But yeah, no, to answer your question, I try to feel successful. I hope I don't want to say, yes, I'm successful, because I don't
Well,
feel that way.
I
But
don't want you to feel cocky saying that you are successful.
I feel I do my best to feel fulfilled.
I like that.
So yes and no, to answer your question. Yeah.
So coming from Wendy's, what was it like transitioning into Farm Bureau, being
Into
a
the job I
video
work now.
producer? Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, did a lot of different types of videos, and I've kept on applying to a lot of different job positions.
I remember the process.
And a lot of those job positions, they want a bachelor's degree and 10 years of experience and all of this different stuff. And then they're going to pay you $13 an hour or $15 an hour. And I'm like, what? Okay.
Because that makes sense.
Because that makes so much sense. Like, somebody with that much schooling and that much experience is going to make that much an hour. And they're also doing video, photo, social media, graphic design, all of this different stuff. And I'm like, okay, that you're asking for way too much and wanting to pay way too little. But no, so one of those jobs that I applied to was Farm Bureau, Idaho Farm Bureau Federation. And I remember applying, and I can't even remember if it was one that I was like feeling super confident about. I just kind of applied and gave them my portfolio. And what I appreciated about them was that they valued my portfolio over any other sort of schooling or metric or whatever. I remember
Requirements.
Yeah, any other sort of requirements. I remember, so my supervisor now, he reached out to me and he said, hey, I'd love to give you an interview. I loved your stuff. Gave me an over-the-phone interview that led to an in-person interview. And lo and behold, now I work there. I work at Farm Bureau doing videos for them and building their brand. And it's actually really cool because, I mean, I still work a full-time job while doing all of this video and podcast stuff on the side. But, man, the amount of, like, being able to work as a video producer for a company or a nonprofit brand, but they operate like a company, has been able to afford me the opportunities to learn and grow specifically in creativity and video production and social media strategy and all of these different things that apply to the world that I'm in and that I love being in, as opposed to working another job and trying to do that on the side. It's been really cool to have those opportunities and also work with some of the best people in the world. There are some phenomenal people that work at Farm Bureau, and also the members of Farm Bureau, they're just phenomenal people that I've been able to connect with. Been able to do a lot of really cool travel, see the prettiest parts of Idaho, go to a lot of cool parts in the United States for the American Farm Bureau stuff. So it's been really cool to work as a video producer for them, help build their brand, and figure out the best way to represent Farm Bureau and bolster Farm Bureau and bolster their brand, and also just better myself along the way and figure out the different things that I love and how I can better their brand, but also like bettering myself.
And I feel like they've been really amazing to be able to let you do that too, because they've let you have that creative
freedom.
Thank you. Yes. They've let you take that and just roll with it and just run with it.
Exactly.
That creative freedom.
So I was talking to Brian, the other videographer, video producer for Farm Bureau, and he's actually one of the guys I want to have on this podcast. I love his story. But we were talking, and we were just complimenting Farm Bureau. We recently went on a trip to Coeur d'Alene, North Idaho, and we were just talking. We're like, dude, the amount of creative control and freedom that we have working for these guys is outstanding. We're able to bring Farm Bureau's vision to life while also being able to showcase our personal style and our personal efforts and everything. And it's just really cool to have that opportunity, whereas working where you may not have quite the creative freedom there. I did have a question for you though on that. So what was the difference? And like I said, it wasn't always like this at Wendy's, but towards the end, I know it definitely was. What was the difference for you as a wife to have your husband come home burnt out from a job that he doesn't want to do anymore? What was the difference from that to now he works at a job that fulfills him and he loves doing, and he can come home? And I mean, what was the difference for you there?
Felt like it was really huge. Just to go from, I don't know, I felt like we were both really unhappy with Wendy's, and it's hard to have, a happy home and, and all that when your hubby's not happy. And I felt like this was just such a tender mercy to me when you got on with Farm Bureau. I could see it in like just a week with a few days with you starting at Farm Bureau. I could see a difference. I mean, the last month that you were with Wendy's, it was really hard because your heart wasn't in it anymore. You didn't want to be there. You're like, what's the point? But you were determined to finish your notice.
Just not gonna
But
just walk out. Yeah.
You're so burned out. I'm just tired. I mean, working 80 to 100 hours a week was a lot. And to have you work with such amazing people that just, gosh, I can't say enough good things about Farm Bureau. The way they've treated us and just working for them has been so amazing. And gosh, I think it was a huge difference watching you go from Farm Bureau from Wendy's to Farm Bureau, because you weren't fulfilled. You came home burned out, having to deal with somebody else's crap and
Pick up their slack.
Be
Responsible for other people. Which managers, I tap my hats off to all managers. I know I've told my supervisors at Farm Bureau, I'm like, however I can be the easiest and best employee to you, I promise you I will do that. Because I've dealt with a lot of interesting characters over the years at Wendy's, trying to manage all them. But
no, like going back to your question, it was at ease. I was at ease. I mean, coming home to my husband being full of energy again, to be able for him to come home and go back to doing what he was doing while he was at work, to film another video for his own side hustle or whatever. I love watching you do this.
Thank you. I love doing it. No, it's really fun. And you're totally spot on. Like it was wild. Just the difference between, and like I said, I loved working there for a very long time for Wendy's. I was there for 5 years in total. Learned a lot of things. I would not take back that experience, but
neither would I.
It was very eye-opening, first off, to realize that I could make a living doing something that would fulfill me. And second off, being able to do said thing. And that I actually have just an interesting take on that real quick, because specifically within the video industry and the creative industry, everybody makes it out to be that you're not successful if you don't have it as a business, as the full-time thing. Yeah. Like not working for somebody else, like doing your own thing has to be the end-all be-all version of success.
Your sole purpose.
And I've actually networked with a lot of entrepreneurs and a lot of really, really successful video business owners. And man, are they at the top of their game. Holy freaking cow. Amazing business owners, amazing cinematographers, entrepreneurs, video people, but just people, amazing people. But I feel like it's, again, going back to the success thing, it's overly glorified and falsified that to be successful, you have to do this thing full time.
You have to do X, Y, Z.
And you have to be a crazy business owner and entrepreneur and all this different stuff. And whatever happened to being satisfied with the job? Obviously, we talked about like how the school breeds you to work at a job for the rest of your life. And there's just differing opinions to all that different stuff. But what I love about working a 9 to 5 is that if I don't want to film videos on the weekends, I don't have to. And I don't have to worry about the money per se. I can go in and put in 8 hours a day, 5 days a week, and come home and have time with you. And I don't have to, I don't know exactly the best way to word it, but I hate admin stuff. I hate managing things. I hate managing people. I love creating. And so if I can get paid to create, I will do it. Of course, now I'm starting up my own podcast, and so I'm hiring an editor, and I'm hiring a graphic designer to help me with graphic design and the brand message, and I'm hiring all these different things, thumbnail editors and whatever else. But what I love is creating. And so why should I rush to make the business a full-time thing if I can get paid to be creative and then come home and still be creative on my own time?
Yeah.
Instead of having to be creative and own a business and have all these hires and employees and all this different stuff. So that's a little bit about, I know I kind of like showed both sides of doing your own thing and having a job. I know I showed kind of the pros and cons of both there, so it might seem crazy while I'm trying to sort of do both, but I hope that kind of makes a little bit of sense to people that are listening to this. But no, I love being able to go to work and be around people instead of just sitting in a room away from everybody all day. But I love being able to go and be around other people and be creative, then come home, and then I can do a podcast with people. I can make a podcast for clients. I can go out and network with people. I can go out and learn new things. Or I can put on the brakes and go have a weekend with you, play video games with you, take you on a date, play ping pong with our families, a million other things. So it's just a lot of things that I've learned over the years. But I guess maybe the biggest one is that time is so freaking important. Holy cow. And how you spend your time should fulfill you. And one of the biggest standards that I have for whenever people come to me asking me to make a video or make a podcast or whatever, one of the biggest standards that I have created for myself that I did not have at the beginning is, if it's not an enthusiastic yes, then it has to be a no. If I'm not enthusiastic about it and just super into it, and I am so pumped to make this for you, then I'm sorry, I can't do it. Like, I can't allow myself to do this because, first off, it's not going to be the best that it can be because my heart's not going to be in it. Second off, I'm going to get closer to burning myself out while doing it, while trying to do something that I'm not passionate about and don't want to do. And so if it's not something I want to do, why am I doing it? You know what I mean? So going back to the Farm Bureau thing, the amount of creative freedom and control that they allow us as video producers to create their stuff there is insane. I choose what videos I want to make there. Of course, we have tons of requests that come in, and happy to make all of those. You know, I understand it's work. Totally get that it's work.
But you can always take your spin on it.
Exactly. I'm able to go to my supervisor, Joel, who is one of the nicest humans to ever walk this planet. I'm able to go and say, I have an idea. And
Bear with me. I have an idea.
Sometimes the scariest words that come out of my mouth is, I have an idea. But I go and I say, and a lot of the times I'm coming to you too for different things, and I'm saying, honey, I have an idea. And sometimes you're like, oh no. And sometimes you're like, let's hear it. But I love that the lifestyle that I've been able to build for myself and for us, because we're in this together and we've grown together, is that I guess just at the core that I hope to continue to do the things that I want to do and that I love doing, because that's what I'm doing. So it's so funny because people are constantly, every time somebody sees us, they're constantly like, you are really busy, aren't you? And I'm like, well, I guess so. I mean, I post a lot about the stuff that I do because I love doing it. And I do a lot of stuff that I love doing because I love doing it. But I hope I'm not ever too busy to hang out with family or take you on a date or just have me time. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Just to kind of tie off this podcast, I want you to tell everyone your motto.
Yeah. So, my motto, and it's not something that I invented or that I am perfect at living by, but my motto that I try to live by is satisfied but always hungry. So it's pretty self-explanatory. It should explain itself. Satisfied meaning you're happy with the process and where you are, and hopefully you are. Try to be that way. I'm not saying I always am perfectly satisfied, but trying to live satisfied with where I'm at, so I'm not constantly like, I wish life was this way. Because if you live like that, you're missing out on the now and you're just shortchanging yourself. But just try to live satisfied with what I've got and where I'm at, but always hungry for more, so that I'm not stale and stagnant and I don't like stop growing. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's something powerful to live by.
Amen.
I feel like that's good.
I feel like that's great.
Okay.
Did we just complete a podcast?
Woo woo!
Not to toot our own horns, but hey, did you get my Grug reference?
Grug?
Yeah, I quoted Crudes. I have an idea.
I don't know.
You're gonna have to go back and listen to it because totally quoted Crudes.
This has been fun. Thanks for listening to Success is a Myth. If you're not already subscribed to YouTube, subscribe to YouTube because the video is way funner to watch than just the audio is to listen to. Seriously, video podcasts are so much funner to watch than audio is to listen to. So go ahead and subscribe on YouTube.